So what if you could learn the single secret that fueled the most successful people of an entire century? Back in 1937, a book came out that promised just that. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it was the result of a 20-year mission to basically decode the formula for success. And look, this isn't just a book of tips and tricks. It's a blueprint built on one single core idea that changes everything.
Right there. That quote from the book's preface is the whole philosophy in a nutshell. I mean, think about that for a second. It's a pretty radical claim, right? It's saying that the empires of giants like Henry Ford or Thomas Edison didn't start with a pile of cash or family connections. Nope, they started with something you can't even touch, something that anyone can have, a powerful, focused idea.
So this book, it represents more than 20 years of deep, intensive research. Napoleon Hill literally got inside the minds of the most successful people of his time. But what's so fascinating is that this whole massive project, it didn't even start with Hill. It actually started with a challenge from one of the richest men on the planet.
Yeah, that's the man himself, the legendary Andrew Carnegie. He sits down with a young, unknown journalist named Napoleon Hill and basically gives him a mission that would define his entire life. See, Carnegie was totally convinced that success wasn't just luck or random chance. He believed it was a formula, something you could actually replicate. And so he tasked Hill with spending the next 20+ years cracking that code.
So that was the mission. Talk to over 500 of America's most successful people and distill all their wisdom into a single, teachable philosophy. Carnegie was absolutely certain this secret existed, and as soon as Hill started his research, one powerful theme jumped out at him immediately. It was the very first clue to unlocking the entire thing.
So this first clue, the absolute ground zero for all achievement, it isn't about talent or money or education. It's something way more primal, way more powerful. It's the force of human desire.
This right here, this is the bedrock of the entire philosophy. What Hill found was that every single high achiever he studied started with a deep, all-consuming desire for a very specific goal. And we're not talking about a wish or a wouldn't it be nice if kind of thing. We're talking about a burning desire that's basically an obsession. The book has this incredible story that illustrates it perfectly.
Okay, so let's talk about a guy who literally thought his way into a partnership with one of the greatest inventors in history. His name was Edwin C. Barnes. He was a young man, had no money, no connections, no fancy degree. But what he did have was one crystal clear, totally unshakable desire. Now, pay attention to the words here. He didn't just want to work for Edison. He wanted to work with him. He wanted to be his business associate. That clarity, that definiteness of purpose was everything. He was so determined that he jumped on a freight train to New Jersey to make it happen. And he showed up at Edison's laboratory looking, as Edison himself put it, like a tramp.
But you know what? Edison saw right past his ragged clothes. He saw this fierce determination in the guy's eyes. So he gave Barnes a really menial job, just to see what he was made of. And for years, Barnes never gave up. He kept that goal right in front of him, seeing himself as Edison's partner long before it was real. It just goes to show you how a burning desire is the fuel for the persistence you need to win.
This slide really shows you the two sides of the same coin. On the left, you've got Barnes, years of persistence that led to a partnership that made him incredibly wealthy. But on the right, you have the cautionary tale of a guy named R.U. Darby. He quit digging for gold just 3 feet from a massive vein. 3 feet. He gave up because he mistook a temporary setback for permanent failure. The lesson is crystal clear. A burning desire is pretty useless if you don't have the persistence to back it up.
Okay, so having a burning desire is step one. That's the starting line. But how do you actually make it real? Hill knew that a desire without action is just a daydream. So he laid out a super practical, 6-step blueprint for turning that desire into cold, hard cash. And this is where the whole philosophy gets really actionable. It's a method for taking that intangible thing, that desire in your head, and actually transmuting it, turning it into its physical, monetary equivalent. It's a clear, step-by-step process.
All right, here it is, the 6-step formula. First, you have to be definite. No, I want a lot of money. You need an exact dollar amount. Second, you figure out what value you're going to provide in return. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Third, you set a hard deadline, a definite date. Fourth, and this one is so crucial, you create a plan and you start immediately, whether you feel ready or not. Fifth, you write it all down, get it out of your head and onto paper. And finally, step 6, well, that's where you really bring it to life.
See, the magic of this last step isn't just about mumbling the words. It's about generating the feeling of success before it actually happens. This process of visualizing and believing, it kind of bypasses all your conscious doubts and stamps that goal directly onto your subconscious mind. It's like you're rewiring your brain to spot opportunities instead of just seeing obstacles. But there's one more ingredient you need to make this whole chemical reaction work.
This is the element that gives life, power, and action to your desire. Without this catalyst, your brilliant plan is just, well, words on a page.
I absolutely love this metaphor of a head chemist. Hill is saying that faith is the thing that mixes with the thought of your desire and transforms it into something your subconscious mind accepts as a fact. It's the absolute, unshakable conviction that you will achieve what you set out to do.
That's a fair question, right? It's easy for someone to say just have faith, but how in the world do you build it from scratch if you're filled with doubt? Well, Hill provides a very specific technique for exactly this problem.
The technique is called autosuggestion, and it's basically the engine behind step 6 of that blueprint we just talked about. By reading your written statement out loud every single day, you are literally feeding your subconscious mind a new reality. You're not lying to yourself, you're programming your brain with the belief that your goal is inevitable, and over time, that repeated instruction builds this unshakable faith, which then, in turn, directs your actions to make it happen.
So we've got desire, a concrete plan, persistence, and faith. These are the core components. And as we put them all together, we're finally ready to tackle that central mystery Andrew Carnegie posed all those years ago. What is the secret that ties all of this together?
And this is one of the most intriguing parts of the whole book. Hill never comes out and says, okay, here it is, the secret is. Instead, he weaves it into every single chapter, almost like a puzzle, believing that the people who are truly ready for it will recognize it for themselves.
So after digging through the stories, the steps, and the principles, we can finally answer Carnegie's big question. The secret has been hiding in plain sight this whole time.
Okay, first, let's be really clear about what the secret isn't. It's not some magic wand, it's not a shortcut, it's not a password that unlocks the treasure chest without any effort. Thinking that is a total misunderstanding of the whole idea.
The secret is the process itself. It's the disciplined fusion of all these pieces working together in harmony. You take a burning desire, you crystallize it into a definite plan, you supercharge it with unwavering faith, and you execute it with bulldog-like persistence. That combination, that relentless application of the entire system, that is the secret formula.
In the end, Think and Grow Rich isn't really something you just read. It's something you do. The philosophy lays out a perfectly clear path. But that very first step, creating that burning desire, well, that has to come from you. So the real question is, what definite goal are you going to choose?